Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's Friday and I'm live. It's Connie, and today I'm gonna spend my hour or so making one of the card kits in the catalog. Maybe not the whole thing, but I want to get a good start on it. Steve likes to sleep in on Fridays, and it gives me a perfect chance to make something in the morning and then go out and do our chores and errands and stuff together later. So I want to highlight the card kits today because, man, have they been popular. So, sorry, I have these marking my pages. Okay, so the first one I just want to show you is the Evergreen card kit. And what's really great about it is you get these great messages, which are amazing, but you get the cuts for these little pine cones and evergreens, and those little evergreen fronds or sprigs. Oh my gosh, I've used them on so many things so far this year. The messages are great. This one has not sold out, but I wouldn't be shocked if by, the end, I think by the end of the catalog, it'll be gone. I just think it's super popular. I think they like to highlight this paper pack in December, so it's possible people aren't, ordering this yet. I don't know. We'll see. But I love the cards. These are pretty much cards that are from the kit itself. I didn't really even mess with them very much. So that's cool. Gosh, I love it so much. And the card kit I want to talk about today, which is crazy. It already sold out once. They reordered it. It's back in stock. And that is this like Christmas bells one from the Silver Bells. So what's amazing with this one is the die cuts. Again, the card making kits, it's the die cuts that sell me. So I have like an ornament, a bell, and I don't know why, but almost every company this year that I've looked at all their new releases, they're all coming out with a bell or a jingle bell. That seems to be the trend. It has a separate little ornament hanger that you can make it a different color. This bow, people are using this like crazy. As a matter of fact, I hope I have time to make a few more cards using that Christmas alphabet because people are using this bow. Oh my gosh, hold on a minute, let me show you that. This Christmas alphabet right here, it's sold out, it's back in stock. It is so popular. Oh my gosh, it's so popular. But there's a really adorable card that one of the makers made that's going around, and I'd love to make it. I'd love to recreate it for you. And it uses this adorable little bow. And so you wouldn't have to use that bow. I mean, if you've got something else, make your own bow. Make it out of ribbon. That'd be great. Anyway, so I wanted to show you this. And then the stamp set has really wonderful messages. So it says, may your days be bright. Christmas bells are ringing. May the wonder of the season be with you always, and happy holidays. And then it has a few little, greenery type things to accent your page. Now, to me, this is like a perfect kit, even if you hate the paper. Like if the paper is too formal or not your style or whatever, the card kit is really cool. And, I got to admit, the cards are not all my style. I'm more bright, bold, playful in my Christmas cards, but I am going to make a few of these today, and that means I need to cut my paper. So let me put this aside. The other things I did ahead of time is I got out all of my crazy, you know, all those papers that are so fun to use at Christmas, the glitters and the shimmery metallics and the foils. I got out all of these that are so much fun at Christmas, and I just cut a bunch of the ornaments, a bunch of the bells, and I want to show you where I got those papers. Let me grab them. So when Daisy Lane went out of business, they had these giant Sizzix cardstock packs that have all these different metallics in it. And they're expensive. They were like 20 bucks, but they had, you remember, they had everything like half price for a while. So what I love is that, so this one is the rose gold. It had the glitter paper, the bold metallic, a matte metallic. It has a super glossy, shiny metallic, and then a pearl. And so, see, just in that pack alone, there were like 5 different styles of papers to use. And so I went ahead and bought this and the charcoal and the silver. I bought every pack they had because I thought I'll never find it again. But I think, you know, I'm sure you guys have paper pads that are metallics or, you know, like I found this one. I think this one was like one of those Joann fabrics. So I'm looking for the cover. Sorry, I probably got rid of the cover. This is one of those paper pads that, oh, there it is. The Paper Studio. That's Joann's, isn't it? I don't know. That might be Michael's. But anyway, you can see it has a lot of, it is all kind of glittery, but it's that flat glitter. And the colors, has all the different colors. And I was like, that'd be perfect for these bells and these ornaments. So I just cut a few. I didn't cut the bold colors. Sorry, gotta put that back or I won't later. I didn't cut all the bold colors because of the paper I'm using. So let me put those aside for a few. The other thing that I grabbed was you know, I have my glitter cardstock and I just cut it into, you know, a bunch of 1/4 inch pieces. That gives me a lot of, you know, options. I also have shimmer trims out that look amazing. I think the rose gold looks super good with the paper. Let me show you the paper that comes with it. So you get your envelopes and cards. And then I'm just gonna dump. There we go. So I'll put the envelopes aside. I'm not sure I'm going to make a slim line. I might make a slim line today, but I'll put the envelopes aside. You get cards. You can make 16. So basically you make 4 of each. And what that means in my mind is that, you know, you make one like they say, and then the rest you do your own thing. So you get lots of card bases. And then you get silver gems. And you get 2 sheets of this paper, and the back is this one. This one is mink. It looks really good with silvers. That's gold with it. You can see how good it looks with gold. There it is with silver. It looks really good with silver. I don't know how my lighting is in here today. Hi, Virginia. You got plans today? Anything fun? And oh, this is rose gold and that's regular gold. So there you go. So it looks great with the metallics And then I cut that pink because I thought, well, the pink kind of looks nice with it too. And then the other color I cut was that charcoal, which I thought, it might be my favorite. I don't know about using like a black color at Christmas, but anyway, so I'm gonna be cutting those. These are the first two pieces that they cut. Then they give you a bunch of cardstock. So there's rosemary, which is the one I'm like on the fence about. Toffee, which looks gold when you put it with the paper. It looks gold. And then mink, and charcoal, and some white. So you get lots of cardstock. And so let me clean this up. It's going to be boring, I think, watching me trim this paper, but I thought I have some time. I have a little time, so I'm going to do it. So with the instructions, it tells you what you need extra to make it, and basically it's ink, right? And blending brushes, because what they do is, you can see their technique is to blend some ink behind the images where they're open. Now, if you didn't want to blend ink, just imagine if you just got a circle punch and punched a circle and then put this onto another color, you know, that would work great. So you wouldn't have to blend ink. But today, no frills. I'm doing it like this. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is scooch over my space. I know it's a big deal, but I'm gonna use my giant chopper, because when I use my giant chopper, I'm much faster and more efficient at chopping and cutting than when I use my Fiskars slide trimmer. So I'm gonna put my chopper on here, and I'm gonna put my instructions on here, and that way we can see what we need to trim. So the first thing is to trim the zip strips. Now, zip strips are like the label strip, and usually there's one side that's easier to cut than the other. Like sometimes they blend together and it's a little hard to tell exactly where that is. And so what I do is I kind of make sure it's at the 12 mark over here, and I look to make sure it's straight and try to line that up as perfect as I can. And I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna go ahead and do both zip strips while I'm doing this, because it's a pain. I hate, this is my least, favorite part of cutting, is cutting these little strips off. For some reason, I get them off a lot, but this time I did okay. So for on the instructions, it'll tell you like what card it's for. Like this is card 4, and I don't label anything. I just put them in piles. So basically you need 4 3.5-inch strips to do the last card. So 3.5. I know it's weird, but when I use this trimmer, I go from 12, 3.5, and I make a cut. So there's 2, and then I go 3.5, which is 5. So that's why I'm so fast at it. So there's 4 strips, and that goes in pile number 4. I'm gonna put that up at the top. And then this is extra that I can use later. So I always have a scrap pile going whenever I cut this paper. Now the next cut they like to show is, they show the front of the paper. Right here, they show what's on the front and what's on the back. And I try to make sure the direction of the paper is accurate. Now this paper has like no direction, but the back does. And you can see it has swoopy lines, like almost like beaded garland that goes across it. And so I want to make sure it's the same as the picture, and it's the back. So I'm going to flip it over so it's right side up. And then basically, the first thing I need to cut is 2 half-inch strip. Well, 2 half-inch strips going sideways. So I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to flip it back the right direction, double check, make sure your swoops are right. And then this, I need a 4 inch, which means I go to 8. This is a very interesting way of cutting. I know it's weird for people, right? I need a 1 1/2. So see, I'm at 8. So I 1 1/2. I just go down the line. And then I need another 4. So I'm at 6 1/2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And the idea behind this cutting, and then I need another 1 1/2. The idea for me is to always keep the bulk of the paper on the trimmer so my cuts are straighter. This piece that fell is a scrap. And now I can cut all of my cuts going the other direction. So this 1 1/2, I need a 3 1/2 inch piece. I need 4 3 1/2 inch pieces. So I'm just gonna cut that 3 1/2. That's a scrap. I'm gonna throw that little scrap away, and 3 1/2. So there's 3 of them, and that also goes in card 4. I'm gonna pick up my next piece and cut my 3 1/2, so I have all 4 of those. And that goes in card 4. And then this is scrap. All right, so these 2 pieces are the same size. They're going to be cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So 5 1/4 and 5 1/4 is 10 1/2. So I'm just going to cut that down, and this ends up being scrap. And then I'm just going to zip it down to 5 1/4. So now I have my 4 5 1/4 inch pieces. See, I'm a little faster at cutting using that method. Okay, so that goes in card number 3. Now, these 2 strips that I cut off the first part, this looks bigger than a 1/2 inch. Let me see, I must have cut that a little large. I'm just gonna cut that. Make it a little more on. These strips have a little asterisk by the letter. And what that means when there's a little asterisk right there, I don't know if you can focus, right there. It says like 2C with an asterisk right next to it. That means it's going to be used on the flip side. So we're going to be using the beaded garland side for these. And it's on card 2. And we need 4 pieces at 5 1/2. So I'm stacking them together, and 5 1/2 and 5 1/2 is 11. So see, I'm putting it at the 11 mark and getting rid of the extra. And then I can just roll it down 5 1/2. So I have 4 pieces, and they're going to be used on this side for card number 2. That piece is totally cut. Now I'm ready to move to this piece, which is much easier, right? Because it's no little weird pieces. Everything is pretty vertical. Makes it a lot easier to follow. Again, I'm looking at this pattern. What is the front? What is the back? In the back, that beaded garland is looking right side up. Okay, so I need to look at my back of my paper and turn it so the beaded garland looks like this. And then I'm going to flip it over to the front. All right. So when you look, the way I do this is kind of different, but when I look at this pattern, I try to I don't always cut it exactly like they do. Sometimes you can cut it your own way and save a little paper, but this looks pretty using up the full size. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll cut the smaller pieces first, just so the bulk of the paper is still on my trimmer. And then I'll cut this. And you know that it's 3.5 and by 4 3/4, the 4 3/4 is the longer side. So you can look at the picture and really think about that before you cut. I have cut that wrong. I have done that wrong. All right, so we're gonna start by cutting 2 pieces. So I'm going from 12 down to 10, cut, and then I'm gonna cut 2 more inches off. I'm gonna go down to 8. I just make sure everything is nice and straight. And then I'm gonna do 3.5. So 3 would go down to 5, and then I go another half. And then I need to cut another 3.5 piece. Now for that one, I don't go all the way down to here. I keep the bulk on my trimmer and just cut it at 3.5. And that leaves this piece as scrap. So now I have these 2 pieces that are the same and these 2 pieces that are the same. And these are going to be used on the flip side. And these will be used the way that they show. Now, these are 5.5 inches, which 2 5.5s make 11. So I'm cutting it at 11. These end up being scraps. And then I'm just gonna slide it down to 5.5. And I have 4 pieces that go into card 2. Now I have my pieces that are 4 3/4. 4 3/4. So this one I'm not as good at figuring out. So 4 3/4, and I need 4 of them. So there we go. These 4 are going into card 1. And then this is scrap, which is a nice size. There are some nice scraps here. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be able to make other cards. So I already trimmed a bunch or cut a bunch of my die cuts, so I don't cut these pieces where they show that you're going to be using them for dies. I'll do that. I'll do more of those later if I need to. What I need is the mats and the message mats. You know, like sometimes you're cutting a little piece where the message will go in the middle, or this will be like the mat of the card. These are the pieces I need. So rosemary cardstock, close to my heart cardstock. The true color is the dark color, and then the lighter side is just a lighter version of that cardstock color. So this shows dark side up, and it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to put it in your trimmer. And the first cut is 4, and then slide it down to 4. And the last cut is 2 3/4. And then this piece is a scrap. The 2 3/4 gets cut at 4 3/4 twice. And then this piece is a scrap. And then these go in card number 3. These 2 are the same size. They're 4 inches by 12. And these get cut. Sorry, I'm going to move my light around because it's glaring onto my paper. So this one gets cut at 5 1/4. So I need 4 5 1/4 inch pieces. 5 1/4 and 5 1/4 is 10 1/2. So I'm going to just cut that excess off, and that gives me my scraps. And notice I stacked them together. I make sure they're nice and tight to the bar, so I can cut 2. Now on the slidey trimmers you can cut 2 also, but sometimes you have to just zip it instead of just one time. Okay, and now I'm going to go down to my 5 1/4. I have my 4 pieces. They all go for card number 1. Put that in the pile. And now I am ready for this. And basically, we're just cutting 2 more of these 2 3/4 by 4 3/4 pieces for card 3. So I'm just going to do this is extra. So you could even make some of your card bases like, I just think, you know, they're pretty generous. This is extra. And then these go back into that card number 3. And now we're ready for toffee. Now toffee is interesting. They want it, I think it's too dark, the regular color. I like the light with this paper. And when you look at the instructions, it does show that the light is what you end up using for most of it. But basically, we just need some slivers. So we're going to cut our first sliver at 1/4 inch. So I go from 12 to 11 3/4 right there. And that's how I get my nice, straight 1/4 inch pieces. So I need a couple of those. I'm going to go back to 11 1/2 and cut another. And then we need a couple of 1 inch pieces. And that's all we need for toffee because the rest of it is used for die cutting. Now, but we need to trim these down a little bit for our cards. And these 1 inch pieces get cut at 3 1/4. So here we have 2 3 1/4. And depending on how you want your leftover to look, we can do it this way. 3 1/4 and 3 1/4. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. They're going to be used on the light side for card number 4. And then these little pieces all get cut at 5 1/2. So I'm going to try to trim them together. That's tricky with these little strips, but I may not be able to. Yeah, I'll do them this way. 5 1/2. So I'm going to cut it at 11 and then down to 5 1/2. And then these 2 pieces are for card 2. And same thing here, do it again. I'm going to cut it at 11 and go down to 5 1/2. So, and those pieces are so for card 2, and we're ready for our charcoal. And there's very few pieces that we cut out of charcoal. I think I froze. No, I froze. Okay. At first I thought I was frozen. It was like, wait, what happened? So this is because the die cuts take up most of charcoal. We're really only cutting these 4 pieces right here. I'm not going to cut all the die cuts since I did some in my metallics. So 1 3/4, and the rest is scrap. Sorry, I'm setting these on a table behind me. All right, and then these are 2 1/4. So 2 1/4, 2 1/4, 1 2 1/4, and 1 2 1/4. I have 4. I have scrap. These 4 pieces are on the dark side, all for card 4. Let me see what I have left. I think I only have like a couple left. One is the mink cardstock is completely used for die cutting, and I'm not gonna use it today. So if I make more of these cards later, I will. Excuse me, let me get a drink here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead really quick and trim these down. And like I said, I don't always trim them in the same way. So I'm going to make sure they're on camera so you can see what I'm doing. All right. So I'm at 12. I'm going to slide across and do 1.5. I need a 1.5 strip. And then I need 2.5 strips. So 1, 2.5. And 1, 2.5. And then I'm going to slide it down and cut a 4-inch piece. I just make sure it's really to the bar and straight. This piece is extra. I have a big pile of white extra. These all get cut at 3 inches. So I'm just cutting down the line. 9, 6, and 3. And so I have 4 of them that go to card 1. And then these 2 pieces are the same size. And I'm going to cut these to 4.5 each, which is 9, 4.5, and 4.5. So these will be in my scrap pile. And these go down to 4.5. These 4 pieces all go to card 3. And then I have my last piece, and these all get cut. I need 4 2-inch pieces. So 1, 10, 8, 6, and 4. This is extra. And then these pieces go into card 4, and all of my cutting is done. My trimmer is going elsewhere. So that's the bonus of why I use the guillotine style. Now, what I like to do, let me get my cards out. There's some slimline, there's some card bases. I am going to just make like one of each. So here's the first one, and it tells you to use like toffee ink to prep your little white card. So you need a white card, a rosemary, and a mink base. Now, I'm going to look at my parts and pieces over here. Let me move things over so you can see good. I'm going to look at all my little parts and pieces, and I'm going to decide what I want to use. And that may change the ink color that I decide to use. So let me go ahead and put this on. I'm going to go ahead and kind of build my base. That is, you know, that rosemary, it's growing on me. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, you know, with this, but, so, you know, I can look at what I've cut and decide what I like the most. And it calls for a bell. And the silver blends in too much. The black looks a little dark. Gold. Oh, you know, I think the rose gold might be it. Oh, look at that. That is really pretty. I like the rose gold. Okay. And then I don't like just one belt. I like 2. And so I may do a combo or something. Pink. Maybe I'll just do 2 rose gold bells. I like that better. I like that better. Okay. So what they want us to do now is some stamping and some inking. Let me grab my stamps. I got a whole bunch of blocks out so that I don't have to redo this a million times. I like to do them, have them ready to roll. And then Christmas bells. And I'm gonna go ahead and just put my other message on here too. Like I said, I'm lazy, and this is the reason I like to have lots of blocks. Okay. And I don't know what I'll do with that little sprig yet. We'll see when that's used. Okay, so we're gonna work on our little white piece really quick, and it calls for a little toffee behind it, and then this will be, it'll look like shadow almost. So let me just I'm grabbing a scratch paper in case you wonder where I went. I have all this printer paper that sometimes you know, when you print out bank statements and stuff, and they always give you extra sheets, or if you print something out, they have extra. I just want to I keep that over here for stuff like this. So I got a new blending brush I hadn't used before, and I thought, got to see if that color is going to work for me. So basically, we're just going to, somewhere in the middle, blend that color, and it actually shows around the bells. Okay, and then, and then we're going to do some berry sprigs. Actually, I feel like I need my bells kind of in place to know where to put everything. All right, so some berry sprigs. There's that. And then in rosemary ink, I'm gonna do this sprig. And I'll put the holly berries on it. I may do another one of those. Okay, we'll see. All right, so now I'm ready to glue. And like I said, I wanted 2, so I changed up their card already. I'm gonna put one this way and one on top. Now, I need to get out my dots because I think that one will look nicer popped up just a little. There. And then we have the Christmas bells are ringing, and we'll do that in charcoal at the bottom. I feel like I didn't do this high enough. We'll see if I can make this work. All right. Oh, that's nice. Okay, and then they used a little sprig. Now, one of the die cuts is these little sprig pieces, and I cut them in a whole bunch of different colors. Probably nothing that looks right. But it does. Oh yeah, okay, that'll look good. Actually, this is in that charcoal black color, which is a little much for a Christmas card, but I was like, I'll go with it and we'll see what it looks like. So there we go. There's my sprig that flipped off on its own. Tuck it back in there. All right. All right, and then we're ready to adhere that to our card. And now they added a couple of gems like here and here, but I have so much blank space. I think I need to add my gems to the top. The other option I would have, if I really wanted to, is I could add a piece of shimmer trim or a scrap, you know, something going across the top. Ooh, I like that. You know, something else to it, just to jazz it up a little bit. Oh, see, that's pretty nice. Let me grab my trimmer. I have another size trimmer. It's really small, but sometimes it's nice when I'm on camera not to have that giant trimmer over here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think this will work. And then I'm going to put it there. And I'm just doing my own thing to the card now, right? Because you can, right? You can do anything you want to make this card your own. And I really like the addition of sparkle. It's just, I just feel like it needs it, you know? So I'm going to put a little shimmer on there, and then I think I will add a couple of dots. Make sure it's not crooked. It's hard to tell on camera. You gotta have it looking at me. Oh, wow. Okay, I could do 3. 3 might be better, but anyway, there you go. So there's my card one. I really like how that looks. And even though the papers aren't always, like the formalness of it isn't always my style, you know, hey, I really like how this turns out. So let's do one of card number 2. Card number 2, card base. And we need 1 toffee piece, 1 piece with the ornaments, and 1 of the mink. And I'm gonna go ahead and just build, you know, the card base before I do all the stamping. It's risky, I know. You're probably like, do your stamping first. But I got 4 more if I need to. So even though this paper has no direction, when you cut it into smaller pieces, there is often an upside and a right side down, right? So to me, that looks upside down because these 3 ornaments are upside down. So if I turn it this way, it will look more upright. So keep that in mind if you're using this paper. And then we're going to use the dark side of the toffee and then the mink. And now it shows a charcoal colored bow. Now I can use any color of bow because I cut all kinds of them, but oh yeah, I like that. I'm not sure how I feel about the toffee behind the happy holidays, but I'm gonna go for it. So here we are, ink blending again, but I'm gonna make it kind of light. You want to do this part first before you stamp, because if you stamp first and then try to like blend over that ink, it'll run like crazy. I mean, it's got to be very dry. Oh yeah, okay, looks good. I'm happy with that. And then they used the toffee with the berries to make a couple berry sprigs here. Here. Okay. And then this gets glued in place. So that and a gem. Ta-da! Oh, it has 2 more gems over here too. I think I might use the smaller gems on that instead of the big ones. There. Oh, that's really pretty. Looks like I need to trim my papers just a little. Look at that. Neat, neat, neat. I like it. Okay, there's card 2. Let's do card 3. Card 3 is another A2 sized card. And it has a background, a rosemary piece, and then a white piece that we're gonna stamp on and ink. So this does show around the edges. I'm just sort of looking to see if there is a direction to it. Not really. And then the rosemary, I think I'll use that on the dark side. So I'm just going to center that. And then this gets centered. And then we are ready to ink up this piece. May your days be bright is in, oh look, see, now we're using that. See, I ran out of blocks, so I gotta use the, now with these squiggly ones that have a way about them, so, you know, sometimes if you put them on a block, they'll be curvy and you want them straight. I recommend just laying them down, letting them come to their natural place. And then okay, I'm going to use my scratch paper so I don't get ink everywhere because it looks like we ink it twice. So I'm going to start on the right side and then line it up. I have too much junk on my space here. There. So there's that. All right, now this May Your Days Be Bright is done in toffee. Now, one thing that they did on their card was they used 2 different ornaments layered on each other so that you can see one makes a shadow for the other, and then they have sprigs. So I'm going to look at what I cut, since I cut mine in all different colors, to see what I like on here. So I could do silver, I could do pink, I could do gold. Let's do gold. And if I wanted to do a shadow, I could even use these dark metallics and line them up. You can see what they did. They kind of made it like this so that there's a little bit of a shadow on that ornament. it does kind of look good. I think I will do that, just for no other reason than just to show the technique. I'm just putting a little bit of glue in places, and then I will line this up and hold it together. Here, I'll just put a block on that to hold it for a minute. And then I have they show a couple of sprigs. So let me put this on while I'm thinking about it. They do have some inking around the inside of the ornament. Something light. All right. And then I still like these dark colored sprigs. I wish I would have used my adhesive sheet on that. That would have made life a little easier. But oh well. All right, so I'm just gonna dot some glue in a few places. You might notice I don't really worry too much about it squooshing out or anything. And that's because it's pretty fine tip and the glue dries clear. So I don't worry too much about stuff like that. More that I probably should be using my tweezers. All right, and we'll just put those there. And then we have to find a bow. So that is a plain bow. Do I have another metallic bow? I could do a silver bow. And I have a rose gold bow. Oh, I kind of like that. All right, there's the winner. All right, so I'm doing that. Putting that on. Hold that for a moment. And then it has a gem. If I'm ever worried about something sticking to that glitter paper, I could just add another dot of glue. That is really pretty. I actually like that a lot. There's sometimes their cards are like, not my taste, but this one I think that turned out really nice. Okay, card 3 done. Let's do the last one, which is a slimline. And I don't always do slimline cards, but for some reason this one caught my eye. I really like it. Let me grab a base. I have them in my pile over here. So in this slimline card, it has the ornaments, that gray strip that I love, 2 hanging ornaments, and then this strip that needs to be like flagged with the message. All right, so there's lots of little pieces on this, and I'm gonna go ahead and start putting that together. So let me grab first an ornament piece, and notice I switched to my liquid glue just out of convenience, not because I prefer it over everything, but I actually use a lot of liquid glue. It's just easy. And then we have that little gray strip that we cut. Goes under it. Oh, this is nice. Okay. And then at the bottom, we have this one that we need to flag on both sides. So today, what's everybody planning? Okay, we have to get the leaves under control. They're crazy. I don't know how many of you saw my post on Facebook, but my leaves are sycamore leaves. They are the size of dinner plates, and they are very everywhere right now. My trees look full still. So we'll be doing leaves again in another week or so. This is a multi-day event for us. And then my dad, he is having trouble feeling his feet, like he has neuropathy. And so we mow his yard and stuff, and he's got sycamores. I don't know who ever thought sycamores were like the best tree for these little yards, because honestly, not the best tree for these little yards. Okay, and then we have the message. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting hold of it. And this message is done in charcoal ink. Now they had ink blended a little toffee around it. Now, I'm not thinking I'm going to use any toffee on this card, so I don't think I'm going to ink blend on that. But if I decide it needs it or whatever, I will. I will. But I want it to dry a lot first. Okay, so I have everything but my ornaments. Now we get to decide what to use. And I'm kind of excited about using this charcoal color. Wow, isn't that pretty? Now see, they did ink blend inside the ornaments. Maybe I should. I don't know. All right, I'll do it real light. Really light. Here, here, and then there's a little bit in there. I'm not going to put much in there. There. Okay, and which one do I want up front? Probably the dark one. All right, this is driving me crazy. I need my tweezers because these little pieces are, some of the papers are flimsier than others, and my fingers are fiddling around with them unnecessarily. All right, here's one. Put a block on there. All right, let's do this one. Here's two. These ornaments, okay, picture them on your fun Christmas paper in red and green or pink and teal. Picture them, and I wanted to have these done in a lot of different colors for you, but just imagine if this had a teal one and a totally different paper than this formal paper. I'm like, yes, that's what I need. So the other thing they did on this is they put the toppers in a different color. I think that's the same, but oh well. I'm just gonna multi-layer it, I guess. There's one, and there's one. Again, put some weight on there. And then I think the last thing I'm gonna need are strings. And I think the strings need to be gold. Let me see. What do I have? I think I'm gonna use my liquid gold. We'll see how that turns out. Push, push. All right, we're ready. Now see, they blended behind these also, but I don't like that as well. All right, again, where's my tweezers? Why am I not using them? All right, here's one. Here's 2. Hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. While I'm holding that down, actually put some weight on there. It has a couple of gems at the bottom, and it looks like small gems that they put here and here. Sticking to my fingers. All right. That's nice. Woo, that is nice. Okay, I could have put my ornaments a little farther down. It would have looked nicer. That's okay. Next one. I'll do that on the next one. And make my strings. Oh, pretty, 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 pretty. That is really nice. I really like how that looks. Wow. Okay, so I definitely need to make my ornaments a little farther down. All right, so there's all 4 out of this kit. So you have a slim line. I may have to do some shading around there or something just to make it look like it's glowing. And there is card 3, card 2. Aren't these pretty? This kit is really cool. And if you use the, you know, the papers that coordinate, you'll have like a toffee colored bell and charcoal cardstock, rosemary and toffee cardstock to make some of these. And I really like the color of the charcoal, you know, with the charcoal paper. It's not always as Christmassy. Oh, there. Oh, I just need to add a 3rd ornament. Well, that's like, that one's too black. Too black. I like it, but it's too much. How about a gold ornament? That's rose gold. Ah, oh, I love it. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna add another ornament. That'll fill my space. Sorry, I know, I was wrapping it up and then I added more. There's that. I'm gonna add another topper so they all coordinate. And do I have another black bow? I don't think I do. I'm gonna have to cut one. I have like shimmery, like a shimmery black. But I feel like they need to all be the same. Ah, whatever, it's done. I'm gonna do it. I mean, people will just, they'll probably not keep this forever and ever anyway. All right, cool. And then I need a 3rd line. How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna make it where you can, where it looks like it's going behind, but it's not, it's in front. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. It's just gonna have to look weird. Okay, pretty good. That's the end of that. I hope you guys like seeing this the card kits. And, oh, announcement. So today at 3 o'clock, they're announcing a new advent calendar for Christmas. And I have not seen it. I have no idea what it looks like, but I can't wait to see it. Usually some of the Australian people post it by now, but so it'll be 4 p.m. our time when it pops online, and I may share that later this afternoon if I am not crazy busy with stuff happening. Weekends right now, you know, we've entered the crazy zone. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching the Silver Bells card making workshop. I hope that you guys enjoy it. these card making workshops really are fun. Have a good day.